The sun was shining over Middleton High, and for Kim Possible, the morning started with her usual high-stakes routine, balancing a 3-story human pyramid during cheerleading practice. Her focus was absolute, her spirit was high, and for a few blissful minutes, her biggest worry was the upcoming math midterm. But as she stuck her landing to the cheers of her teammates, the familiar rhythmic chirping of the communicator echoed from her gym bag. Kim flipped her red hair back, grabbed the device, and saw the face of her 10-year-old tech genius friend, Wade. "What's the sitch, Wade?" she asked, her voice shifting instantly from cheerleader to world-class hero. Wade's expression was uncharacteristically grim. He reported that a top-secret research facility in the Swiss Alps had been breached. This lab specialized in molecular destabilization, technology that could theoretically turn any solid structure into liquid. The security footage showed green plasma burns and a clumsy blue-skinned silhouette tripping over a laser grid. "Draken and Shigo," noted Kim. Beside her, Ron Stoppable was busy trying to extract a stuck nacho from a vending machine, while his loyal, naked mole rat, Rufus, watched with concern. "Draken again?" Ron groaned. "Can't that guy just take up a normal hobby, like competitive sandwich making?" "Not when he's trying to rewrite the laws of physics, Ron," said Kim, heading for the locker room. "Wade, tell the principal I've got an emergency dental appointment. We need to move." Within minutes, a high-speed jet was waiting at the airport. Ron scrambled on board, Rufus in his pocket, as Kim reviewed the blueprints. The stakes were high. If Draken fired that device, the world's defenses would melt in seconds. The jet soared over the jagged, snow-capped peaks of the Alps, the wind howling against the fuselage. The air was thin and freezing, but Kim was already suited up in her signature black crop top and cargo pants, checking her gear, the grappling hook hairdryer, and laser lipstick. "Okay, Ron, the facility is carved into the side of the Matterhorn," Kim explained, pointing to a blinking dot on her GPS. "We need a silent entry. No screaming, no falling, and definitely no accidental alarms." "Kim, you're talking to the master of stealth," Ron said, immediately tripping over his own parachute straps. Rufus chirped a warning, shaking his tiny pink head. They dived out of the plane, free-falling through the clouds, until Kim deployed her stealth chutes. They landed softly on a narrow, icy ledge overlooking a massive steel door, guarded by Drakenbots, mechanical soldiers with glowing blue eyes. Kim used her binoculars to scan the perimeter. "Wade, I'm at the secondary ventilation shaft. Can you bypass the thermal sensors?" "Working on it, Kim," Wade's voice crackled. "The system is encrypted with a rotating toad. Give me 30 seconds. As Kim waited, she watched Ron trying to stay warm by doing a frantic heat dance that nearly sent him sliding off the ledge. Suddenly, the vent cover hissed open. Kim moved with the grace of a cat, sliding into the dark metallic tunnel. Ron followed, though his baggy pants kept getting caught on the rivets, creating a rhythmic clanking sound. They crawled through the labyrinth of ducts, the sound of Dr. Draken's maniacal laughter echoing through the vents. They finally reached a grate overlooking the main laboratory. Below them, a massive molecular destabilizer was glowing with an ominous violet light. In the center of the massive laboratory, Dr. Draken was pacing, his blue skin looking pale under the harsh fluorescent lights. He was gesturing wildly at a giant satellite dish mounted to the ceiling. "Soon, Shigo, the world will literally slip through the fingers of my enemies. I will turn the Great Wall of China into the Great Puddle of China. I will turn the White House into the Clear Liquid House. Imagine the savings on window cleaning." Shigo, leaning against the control console and filing her nails, rolled her eyes. A spark of green plasma ignited in her hand. "Whatever, Dr. D. Can we just get this over with? I have a spa day booked for Saturday, and I really don't want to spend it swimming through the dissolved remains of a mountain range." Kim signaled Ron. They needed to drop down and disable the power core before the countdown hit 0. But as Kim prepared to kick out the grate, Ron sneezed, a loud echoing achoo that reverberated through the silent lab. Draken froze. What was that? A ghost? A very loud alpine marmot? Shigo sighed, looking up at the ceiling. It's the cheerleader, princess. Possible, Draken screamed, his voice cracking. Kill her. I mean, capture her. Just do something with the glowing green hands. Shigo didn't need to be told twice. She leapt into the air, her hands blazing with emerald fire. Kim kicked the grate open and dove into the room, flipping mid-air to avoid a blast of plasma. She landed perfectly, her eyes locked on Shigo. Meanwhile, Ron attempted a heroic entrance, but ended up tangled in a bunch of electrical cables, swinging back and forth. Don't mind me, Ron yelled. I'm just checking the tension of your wiring. The lab became a blur of frantic motion. Shigo moved with lethal precision, her plasma blast scorching the walls wherever Kim had been standing a millisecond before. Kim used her athletic prowess to vault over lab tables, using a heavy metal serving tray as a makeshift shield. Clang! The plasma hit the tray, melting it instantly, but Kim was already gone, swinging from a light fixture like a gymnast on the uneven bars. You're getting slow, Kay, Shigo taunted, her eyes glowing with fire. She lunged forward, a flurry of kicks and strikes that Kim barely managed to parry. Just keeping you on your toes, Shigo, Kim replied, using a cheerleading roundoff to gain some distance. While the two rivals fought, Dr. Draken was frantically typing at his keyboard. Ignore the girl. Protect the machine. The stabilization process is at 80%. Ron, still swinging from the cables, saw his chance. Rufus, the red wire. No, the blue wire. Actually, just chew everything that looks expensive. The naked mole rat saluted and scurried up the cable, his tiny teeth ready for sabotage. But Draken noticed the rodent. A rat in my lab? Guards, vacuum the rodent. A swarm of Drakenbots deployed suction arms, chasing Rufus across the ceiling. Kim saw Rufus in trouble and tried to move toward him, but Shigo blocked her path with a wall of flame. Concentrate, Kim, Shigo hissed. You can't save everyone. Kim glanced at the countdown clock. 2 minutes until the destabilizer fired. The machine was humming so loudly that the floor was vibrating. Kim's mind raced. She needed to take out Shigo, save Rufus, and stop the machine simultaneously. It was a typical day at the office, but the heat was definitely turning up. Just as Kim prepared a counterattack, the floor beneath her feet gave way. It was a hidden trapdoor. Kim tumbled into a specialized containment cell made of reinforced, unbreakable glass. She hit the floor hard, and before she could stand, Shigo slammed a heavy steel shutter over the top, sealing her inside. Finally, Draken gloated, leaning over the glass. The great Kim Possible, trapped in my molecular isolation chamber. Once the beam fires, the vibrations will shatter the molecules of this cell, and you, my dear, will become, well, a very pretty soup. Ron finally managed to unhook himself from the cables, but he landed directly in the metal arms of 2 large Drakenbots. Hey guys, great uniforms, very slimming, he joked weakly as they hauled him toward a chair and began wrapping him in magnetic tape. Rufus was still being chased by the vacuums, squeaking as he dove behind a series of humming batteries. Kim pounded on the glass, but it was soundproof. She reached for her communicator, but Shigo had already snatched it from the floor. Looking for this? Shigo asked, tossing the device into a vat of acid. Kim watched her only link to Wade dissolve into nothingness. She was alone, trapped, and the timer was at 60 seconds. For the first time, Kim felt a flicker of real doubt. She looked at Ron, who was being tied up, and Rufus, who was cornered. Draken began his final countdown, his finger hovering over the global liquefaction button. The violet light of the machine began to focus into a single, terrifying beam aimed at the dish above. Kim closed her eyes, trying to find a solution in the silence of her mind. Inside the cell, Kim took a deep breath.
She remembered a chemistry lesson from Mr. Barkin's class, something about resonance and frequency. The glass was unbreakable from the outside, but if she could create a specific internal vibration, it might shatter. She looked at her gear. Her grappling hook hairdryer had a super dry setting that vibrated at an incredibly high frequency. "Ron!" Kim screamed, hoping her voice could reach him through the door seal. "The nacho cheese! Use the sauce!" Ron looked up, his eyes wide. "Kim, this is a really bad time to be thinking about snacks." "No, the extra spicy lava nacho sauce you have in your pocket. Throw it at the machine's cooling fan. It's highly corrosive." Understood. He used his feet to trip the robot holding him, reaching into his cargo pocket for the packet of Bueno Nacho's most volatile condiment. With a desperate "Go monkey!" yell, he flicked the packet with his toes. It sailed through the air, bursting inside the main intake vent of the destabilizer. Instantly, the machine began to sputter and cough. The violet light turned an ugly orange. The vibrations changed frequency. This was Kim's moment. She turned her hairdryer to maximum power and pressed it against the glass. The combination of the machine's malfunction and the hairdryer's motor created a perfect harmonic resonance. Crack! The glass spiderwebbed. With a powerful kick, Kim shattered the cell. She leaped out, swinging toward the control panel. Shigo, stunned by the explosion of glass, lunged, but Kim was faster. She grabbed a pair of experimental stiction cuffs and snapped them onto Shigo's wrists, anchoring her to a structural pillar. "Hey, uncool!" Shigo yelled. "Sorry, Shigo, you have a spa day to get to," Kim quipped. With Shigo sidelined, Kim turned her full attention to Draken. The scientist was screaming at his console, hitting buttons at random. "No! My beautiful liquid world! It's all becoming chunky! Why is it chunky?" The spicy nacho sauce had gummed up the internal gears, and the machine was now overloading. Thick black smoke poured from the cooling vents, and the entire Alpine facility began to shake as if an earthquake had hit. "Ron, get Rufus and get out of here! The mountain's gonna blow!" Kim commanded, her voice cutting through the alarms. "On it!" Ron yelled, sliding under a robot's legs and scooping up the mole rat. Rufus had managed to chew through the power lines of the vacuum bots, leaving a trail of sparks and confused machinery behind him. Kim rushed to the main computer. She needed to vent the energy into the atmosphere before the whole mountain exploded. But the override required a two-person physical key turn at opposite ends of the room. "Ron, I need you at the secondary station, now!" Ron scrambled to the second key, his face set in a look of rare determination. "On three, Kim? On three. 1, 2, 3. They turned the keys in perfect unison. A massive beam of orange light shot out of the satellite dish, piercing the roof and blasting harmlessly into the sky. It hit a passing cloud, turning it into a brief rain of orange juice. The machine groaned one last time, sparked, and died with a pathetic puff of smoke. Draken fell to his knees in despair. "My machine! My mountain! My dignity!" "You never had the last one, Dr. D," Shigo shouted from her pillar. The self-destruct alarm began to blare. "Wade, we need an extraction now!" The mountain base was collapsing as Kim, Ron, and Rufus sprinted toward the exterior landing pad. The frigid alpine air bit at their skin, but the adrenaline kept them moving. Suddenly, a familiar high-tech helicopter hovered over the ledge. It was Wade's remote-piloted rescue craft. "Jump!" Kim yelled. They leaped off the edge just as the lab section of the facility imploded into the snowy mountainside. Kim grabbed the landing skid, Ron grabbed Kim's boots, and Rufus clung to Ron's hair. They dangled over the snowy abyss as the helicopter pulled them to safety, soaring away from the smoking ruins of Draken's latest failure. An hour later, they were back in the warm climate of Middleton. Kim was sitting at their usual booth at Bueno Nacho, her hair back in a ponytail, looking remarkably put together for someone who had just survived a mountain explosion. Ron was halfway through a Nacho Grande platter, while Rufus was enjoying a small piece of cheese. "So," Ron said between bites, "we saved the world from being turned into a milkshake. That's gotta be worth extra credit in science, right?" Kim laughed, checking her replacement communicator. Wade says he's already cleared our absences, and Shigo and Draken were picked up by Global Justice. They're headed back to a high-security cell. Her device beeped. It was a text from her crush, Josh Mankey, asking if she wanted to hang out. Kim smiled, a light blush on her cheeks. You know, Ron, fighting Shigo is easy, but figuring out what to wear to the mall, that's the real mission. Whatever you say, Kim, Ron said, lifting a chip. Just remember, no matter how big the sitch, there's nothing a Nako can't fix. Kim clinked her soda cup against his. Mission accomplished, Ron. Mission accomplished.